Hi guys, Mike Lambo here. This is a quick look at my latest game, which is called Rifle Squad, US at Omaha Beach. As usual, a solitaire war game. And this is the front cover. This is my proof copy, so it has this grey line across. As ever, your copy won't have that. This is quite a thick one, runs to about 70 pages. And the reason for that is not so much the number of scenarios, but the thickness of the rules. So this is probably, well, it certainly is one of my most complicated games, although as ever, not overly complex. I spent quite some time actually with this one, stripping out rules at the end, which I felt didn't really add anything to the fun of the game, and that's always my kind of overarching sort of measurement, if you like. Is a rule worth having in there? Does it give enough enjoyment to the game to justify its position in the rule book? And if it doesn't, then it gets removed. So I have sort of actually weeded this one out, but it still nonetheless has ended up being fairly comprehensive. So let's have a quick look. We've got in here, you can see that the contents page alone runs to 2 full pages, so you can see straight away that there's quite a lot of, well, I have made the table of contents a little more detailed than I normally do for these games, so I've made sure that I've actually added, if you like, a sort of content marker to more of the subheadings than I usually would, just so you can find things in the rules a little bit more easily than normal. So this covers all the rules. You can see down here there are 12 scenarios towards the end there. So the rules then follow a similar kind of pattern and style as normal. This is the first game I've produced from the ground up using the Incarnate software for graphical enhancements. So to produce the counters, but also the maps, mostly the maps, I have used Incarnate Pro version, and hopefully that has turned out to be fairly good. I'll just give you a bit of a close-up on the map sort of chart there. You can see there the graphics, quite a distinct improvement, I hope. And again, there you see an example there of how they look. So yeah, so it runs to quite a few pages, but as ever, nice and clear, and lots of examples in here. You see there, for example, a whole page there, just an example, which I think really helps to keep things nice and clear. So lots of things in there, lots of those examples in there. Let me give you a sort of flick through of the rules so you can see. I obviously don't want to show all the rules for obvious reasons, but there you go. You can see, lots of examples, lots of colour in there. Won't take you too long to get through there. They run to about 40 pages maybe, but the type is big. The font is fairly large. As I say, lots of examples, lots of diagrams. So yeah, I think you can probably get through those rules in a fairly concentrated read in certainly 30-40 minutes, no more than an hour at most, I'd think. What I would then recommend you do is to watch the instructional playthrough that, as you'll know, that I produce for all my games. So on this channel you can find an instructional playthrough for them all. I think with this one it's worth reading the rules through once and then having a look at that video just to see how they kind of come together. Not that I don't think the rules do a job, I think they do, but I think many people will find it useful just to see everything pulled together in that way. There is an example of a mission map. So again, you can see there the software, I think, has come up trumps and helped me produce some fairly realistic looking maps. So what this involves then, obviously, is the US at Omaha Beach. You're in control of just one rifle squad, so 12 guys with a mixture of weapons and abilities. And I guess the scenario is that your squad has kind of landed in a boat on the beach and taking a very small slice of Omaha. You are then controlling your guys, or trying to get your guys, your 12 guys, up the beach safely, taking out any enemies they see. So I'm not suggesting this is a full-scale Omaha Beach game. Clearly this is not thousands and thousands of yards wide or anything. The scale is probably about a hex to 100 yards, probably not even that. But you've got your 12 guys land, you we can imagine there's other things going on as well, but your guys got to get up here and take the objective as they go. All right, so there are 3 sort of landing missions, 3 basic landing missions, and then there are 3 inland missions. So once you've landed, the idea is to then push inland on an inland mission, and then there are 3 final missions where you sort of take the final objective. So playing as a campaign, you would do 1 landing, 1 inland, and 1 final mission. Choosing those at random as you go is the idea, and you try and keep your 12 guys alive and healthy. If you lose a guy, then you lose them for the whole campaign, kind of thing. You can play the missions individually. They're all pretty tough. They get tougher as you go through, but they generally give you a good challenge. Just in case anyone finds it a little bit too easy, I have decided to add at the back here 3 more missions, which are called extreme editions. So you have an extreme edition of the landing, an extreme edition inland, an extreme edition of the final. So you can either play those 3 as a campaign if you're feeling particularly lucky, or you can mix those in with the others and sort of play, I don't know, maybe a landing, an inland, and then an extreme final, for example, just to give yourself a challenge. But that's just ups the ante a little bit. The maps themselves are a bit more challenging, but also the charts and so on make sure that things are a bit more challenging as they go. So let's just have a look at one of these charts and have a quick word about how this plays. So your 12 guys, we start at the bottom of the mission here. In some ways, I guess it looks a little Field of Normandy-ish, but it's not that system. It's a different system. You generally have 4 leaders within your rifle squad. So you have a staff sergeant, a sergeant, and 2 corporals. And those 4 guys get a certain number of orders each turn, which you roll for. And then they use those orders to order the guys around themselves and the guys around them to take certain actions. So you're not rolling for actions. Once you've established a number of orders, you can use those orders however you like. So there's no restriction on that. You then order guys to move, to scout, to spot hidden enemies. You order the medic to heal up any injured troops. There are lots of attack actions here. So you have rifle fire and bar fire, grenade attacks, grenade launcher attacks. You have assaulting, mortar fire. There's rallying and finding cover as well. So lots of different actions to choose from, and it's up to you how your leaders use those orders that they have to assign certain actions to the troops around them. So lots of ways of approaching the missions, and a lot will depend on how they play out. Now each mission will tend to have some enemies starting on the map. Well, they all do, in fact. They all have some enemies starting on the map, particularly sort of in bunker areas and other strong points. But as you land on these question marks, then more enemies will appear, not on the question marks themselves, but on hexes in relation to that question mark. So you kind of roll on a chart over here to see whereabouts the enemy will appear, what enemy that will be, whether they're in cover, and you'll determine then whether they are hidden or whether you can see them, and whether they open fire immediately or not. As you can scout these positions as well, using your scouts, which has some advantages and is worth doing when you can and you have the orders to spare to do that. So there are lots of decisions to be made, as ever. Terrain obviously has an impact on things. So we've got water hexes here, beach hexes, we've got clear hexes, hexes with trees, hexes with woods, and hill hexes or higher ground hexes, hexes with bunkers. And then on other maps we have some inland water hexes and some buildings hexes. So there's lots of terrain that's going to play a part in all of this as well. Okay, but each mission, each time you play a particular scenario, it will turn out vastly different depending on whereabouts the enemies appear, I mean, it can literally be almost anywhere in relation to when you land a guy on this hex here. The enemies could be anywhere in this kind of area here, for example, and same here and same here and so on. So you've got some idea, but not much of an idea. So depending where they start and also what they are, of course. So the enemies range from single riflemen up to heavy machine gunners and everything in between. So you've got submachine gunners, you've got enemies with grenade launchers, you have snipers, officers that might call in mortar strikes, for example. You've got light machine guns, heavy machine guns. Sometimes more than one will appear, so you might have, you know, a couple of riflemen appear, or a rifleman and a submachine gunner or whatever, and they can appear together or separately or whatever. So you never quite know what you're going to get or where they're going to appear. And your idea, your task is to push up the beach and take the objective, which is positioned as part of the setup. So the objective for some scenarios is always one place. So this one says place the objective in the top center high ground trees hex. So here the objective will be here, and this is what you're trying to take. In others, there's a choice, and you'll roll at the start of the scenario to see where the objective is. You've got to resolve all these question marks. So have the enemies appear in relation to those question marks, and then take the objective. You don't have to clear the map. So unlike Fields of Normandy, you don't have to kill everything on the map. You just have to take the objective, which will involve obviously destroying a lot of the enemy, but not necessarily all of them. That's not a requirement for success. And as I say, once you've landed and you've successfully taken the objective there, you get a bit, if you're playing a campaign, you get a bit of a respite, and then you move on to the inland scenario, and away you go again. And there's certain things happen between a mission, so you get a chance to heal up your injured guys and so on. So your guys might, if they get hit, they will be injured, and if they're injured and hit again, they will be killed in action, and you lose them for the remainder of the campaign. Certainly for the remainder of the mission. And if you're playing a campaign, you lose them for the remainder of the campaign. You do have a medic, so Private Gill is a medic there, and he can be ordered to heal up your injured soldiers. You have a couple of scouts here, Private Lee and Private Hall, so you can see every troop on in your squad is named. You've got Staff Sergeant Ray, you've got Sergeant Jack, you have Corporal Watts, and you have Corporal Sykes, and then you've got some others over here. I won't go through them all, but you basically have 12 guys, all doing different, or generally doing different variety of weapons and, as I say, abilities and so on. And you have to make choices of how you use them most effectively to achieve those objectives. The counter sheet, as ever, is the final page of the book there. So you can see there, you've got your squad up here. You have the German troops there and various other counters here. That page is already on Board Game Geek, so you can be downloading that and producing your counters already if you like. The maps I have submitted to Board Game Geek, so they should appear fairly soon as well for download. Okay. So that is Rifle Squad US at Omaha Beach, and that should appear, if it's not already, on Amazon and Wargame Vault fairly soon. Cheers, guys.